Good morning. The title of this video today is called No Honour Amongst Thieves. Let's go back to where Hawkins, my favourite bovine excrementus extraordinaire, stated that he was getting paid $500 per month by Phil McConnell over a period of 4 years. That's 24k of extra income for Mr. Hawkins. Well, I've always maintained that I don't believe that, because don't forget in 2006, 2007, he was having his difficulties with Northwest Airlines. From there he went, Mr. McConnell that is, and joined the Kazakhstan airline. So if this guy was getting his pension, why is he flying for Kazakhstan airline? Because he wasn't getting his pension, people. He didn't get his pension until he was 65, and considering this year he's 70, so let's take 5 years off 70 in 2000. So 2014 is when he would have started getting his pension. So here's a quote from this blog. I'll link it as Exhibit A. He went on and on about the Veterans Ranch, which he claimed he had paid for out of money people were donating to his channel. Soon the Veterans Ranch would become the Children's Crusade. Hallelujah. Somebody else is also pointing out exactly what they were doing. They were skimming and scamming people. Don't forget, they're data mining people when you go to the Children's Crusade site. That's what that blog's all about. You go there, you click on the link, and it automatically links to these things, and they try data mining your thing. Thank God I've got some really good internet security. Don't forget also, yesterday, the wonderful Tom Thumkins created a fantastic video that showed another lie with Hawkins' own verbiage, his own words. About 3 years, not 2 years. So we have that as well. So that's what we'll call that Exhibit B. So Exhibit C, we'll be looking at ballistic shape charge design engineer. You can read that for yourself. That'll be linked below. What I'm going to talk about in a minute, which is IEDs. But we'll put wireline perforation there. We'll look at what a wireline operator does with a video so you can see for yourself, and what an explosives ordnance handling expert would do. So, why would I bring this up? Well, you see, let's go now to the next exhibit. Exhibit C, I believe this will be. And this one is where Hawkins states, well, I am, and he says this on Coast to Coast in 2006. I will link that below, and you can read it for yourself. Well, I am an expert in explosives, and I built a lot of improvised explosives during my career in the oil industry. Really? Really? So what is an IED? Well, an IED is something I'm very familiar with, being an ex-military and a veteran myself. And being that I've served in the province, I've had numerous run-ins with these delightful things. They are a homemade bomb constructed from military or non-military components that are frequently employed by guerrillas, insurgents and other non-state actors as a crude but effective weapon against a conventional military force. When used as roadside bombs, IEDs can interdict lines of communication, disrupt, damage or destroy target. In other words, they are an explosive device to kill, maim and destroy. Nothing to do with an oil industry, which would be under the most strongest regulations, because what is oil and gas? Highly flammable. So, I'm going to give you now Exhibit D. Exhibit D is hilarious. In Exhibit D, I will show you that he was part of Scholars for 9/11 Truth Organisation. And it says, who are we? So you scroll down and there his name is. David Hawkins, full member. And what's his job description that he puts there? There's above him is David Griscom. Yeah? Physics of optical materials, material science and engineering, author and co-author of nearly 200 publications. The guy above him is the physicist and alternative energy. Well, it's David Hawkins. He's a forensic economics joint venture enterprise management and network design. No mention of explosives, no mention of AI experts, but he keeps calling himself a forensic economics. So he calls himself a forensic economist. So he knows exactly what that is. So Jason Goodman lied to people over that. So Jason Goodman again trying to cover up for the reasons of what he did. Now, I will give you the teachers of private equity hired blah blah blah. So you will go to this site and at the top it will say expand. So you expand it and you scroll down. And you scroll down, dear Mr. Fisher, teacher, blah 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 blah. This is the communications between Jim Fetzer and David Hawkins. To David Hawkins at hawkcafes@hotmail.com by Jay Fetzer. Read Will Scholars for 9/11 Truth fight Chomsky's charade of lies. So don't forget David Hawkins has basically accused Chomsky of being part of the 9/11 conspiracy. It's just mind blowing. So I'm going to read you something that Jim Fetzer wrote from 9/11, Scholars for 9/11. On the basis of numerous complaints about your saturation of the forum with speculations that verge on lunacy, I am revoking your membership in Scholars for 9/11.org. I have refrained now because you were making me the focus of your I have refrained until now because you were making me the focus of your ongoing attacks, for which you appear to have nothing but the flimsiest basics and something else. I can assure you there is nothing the least bit unusual about the retirement in relation to the teachers and something unions, yeah? I have never received a nickel from them, apart from the normal assertion of earned history of my investments. However, it has now become apparent that your use of the forum to promote your views goes beyond the pale. Here is a summation of the problems you have created. I wish you well in your pursuits, but your efforts have become counterproductive to exposing falsehoods and revealing truths about 9/11. You may no longer use the forum and no longer identify yourself as a Scholars for 9/11 Truth. Jim, this is such a nice summary of the problems you are creating that I repeat it. Dear Jim and Steve, it is my opinion that has been saturated by the unsubstantiated theories of David Hawkins. It's such an extent that the environment for everyone else is suffering. I've had my suspicions about David Hawkins for a while, but was never certain. Now I am convinced that he is knowingly turning the forum into one big debate about him and his theories. Several other members have communicated the same thing to me behind the scenes. Of course, I must apologise for personally reacting to him. I have tried my best to ignore him, but sometimes it's not enough. It's particularly troubling to me that he mentions Jim and his teacher's membership in nearly every post he makes. The only reason he would do this is to connect Jim to the plot in some ways is ludicrous. I admire Jim for showing restraint in the face of it. I see the main reasons to doubt on honest intentions of David Hawkins are these. He is apparently a smart man with his qualifications past patience, but why can't a smart man organise his research, and why would he feel it necessary to start multiple threads when one or two should suffice? It's hard to find any actual evidence in his jumbled up work that when asked to provide he either ignores the request or answers with more speculations. Bingo. This is what he does. This is what he does. When you question him and ask for evidence, he never produces the evidence. Have you ever noticed that? And here is somebody who's, at the time when he was kicked out of Scholars for 9/11, I'll read that again. It is hard to find any actual evidence in his jumbled work. And when asked to provide it, he either ignores the request or answers with more speculations. He makes countless accusations about Jim or about the group as a whole being compromised, and yet he does not feel he needs to disassociate from these problems. If he was genuine, he would not stay in a group that he felt was tainted and was not beneficial to him. He has tried to label other topics as distractions or imply that they are a waste of time, that everyone should be focusing on his theories. Are you starting to see a pattern here, people? Are you starting to see a pattern? are you starting to see a pattern? So I'll link that below as evidence. And I'll give you another piece of evidence as well to show that other people in the past have questioned the lunacy of this individual. And this one is David Hawkins on what happened 9/11. Not that I agree with Hawkins on his plasma explosive plane theory, but he still makes some interesting points. 5 comments. No one should waste a moment on his or her time on this detritus. So this person really rips into Hawkins. Really rips into this whole thing. It is absolutely fascinating. There's something for you to read for yourself. It shows you that there are other people with qualifications, experts in their own field, that are exposing this fraud, this liar. This guy that we are now being told is an innocent victim of being put in the sandbox. Yet anybody that questions his narrative, instead of coming up with the evidence and saying, well, there's the evidence, please check it for yourself. No. He carries on with more accusations, never ever revealing the actual facts. For instance, my biggest question, and I want anybody to prove this to me, because all the documentation evidence I've got is proves that Christine Marcy had nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with the Joint Prisoner Alien Transportation System in its creation, in its formation, or anything to do with it in the 1980s, because in the 1980s she was in separate departments within the government. This woman has been smeared, her daughter has been smeared by these people. Their lives are going to be turned upside down by this stuff. They have saturated the internet with their nonsense. Does it sound all familiar? These people are a cancer. And Hawkins is the worst of them all. Because he comes across as, oh look, he speaks so posh, he must be genuine. Because people judge a book by the cover. This guy is a con man and a fraudster. And like I said at the beginning, there is no honour amongst thieves, because he's thrown his other person that he was conning people out of their money with, which he started with him, Abel Danger, which his first thing he said when he met Phil McConnell was, finally. In other words, he found somebody he could work with to spew his crazy nonsense. And he's a storyteller. He likes to be a theatre guy. He likes to make up stories and scripts. That's what he is. He's a fantasist. He's a Walter Mitty. And the sooner people get their head around this, the better. And the sooner people start exposing more and more of this, and we need more and more people to show the evidence. And like I said, open challenge. I want somebody to prove that Christine Marcy created the Joint Prisoner Alien Transportation System. I want the documented evidence, because there's no point asking Hawkins or Goodman, because they will never produce it. Because they are lying to you. They are taking money by deception, which is fraud. They are carrying on the fraud in a different format. You're paying for this information, you're being conned. Originally, they were taking the money from charities they set up called the Veterans Ranch, which changed into the Children's Crusade. But at the time when Hawkins was there, it was the Veterans Ranch. That's what Hawkins' money was paid for. That's why Hawkins is actually tainted with that. I will put money on it. Now that is my hypothesis, and I can guarantee you I'm pretty much close to the mark there, I think. And I think somebody on the inside will be able to tell us, yep, you were right. He was being paid from the Veterans Ranch funding. And upon that, I wish you a good day.